Welcome to Finance Dojo. We aim to be the best personal finance educational channel you ever need. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell right now so you won't miss out. Mark Zuckerberg financed his Palo Alto house, which is just 3 miles from Facebook's headquarters, with a 30-year mortgage in July 2012. He was 28 years old at the time and the 40th richest person in the world, with a net worth of $15.6 billion, according to Forbes. How is it possible to fall into debt when you have billions of dollars to spare? A dozen $6 million residences would not be out of the question for him. What's the point of getting a mortgage if you don't need it? The explanation is lengthy and complex, but in a nutshell, it's free money. Incredibly, who would offer you free money to a billionaire? Let me explain. Interest rates are at the root of it all. A rate of inflation of 2.5% to 3% in the US means that any money you borrow is lower than that is free money. The interest rate on Zuckerberg's mortgage is slightly over 1.05%, but it is revolving. In other words, depending on the situation, the interest rate may increase. When you do the math, the bank loses since the mortgage rate is lower than the inflation rate. To do the arithmetic, you don't need to be a genius. Let's imagine you borrow $1 million at a 1% interest rate. The average savings account rate of return is 2.4%. That is, even if you put the $1 million in another bank, you will earn $24,000 a year while merely paying the bank that lent you the money a monthly payment of $10,500. Consider what you could accomplish with $100 million or perhaps $1 billion. When you can borrow money for free, there's no reason to keep your own money when you can put it to better use. Of course, when dealing with tiny sums of money, this may not make sense because the difference isn't significant. When it comes to significant quantities though, a fraction of a percent might imply tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands. If you're a business person who can easily afford $1 million home, why purchase one when you can finance it for 1% or 2% while investing the rest of your money in your company, which might provide 10, 20, or even 30% returns? If you're too lazy to discover a better strategy to invest your money, simply putting it all into an index fund can be far more rewarding, especially when the period is 20 or 30 years. An index fund has historically delivered an average return of 8%. If you take out a mortgage and invest the difference in an index fund, the difference will be returned to you. It's all about the opportunity cost. It wouldn't make sense for Zuckerberg to pay cash for the property when he has been given a 1% mortgage rate. But he isn't the only one who thinks that way. Take Elon Musk, for example. Much of his fortune is related to Tesla and SpaceX. So if he wanted to purchase a mansion for $20 million, he'd have to sell a significant portion of his wealth, pay taxes, and incur other costs. He can, however, accept free money while keeping his monthly payment inside his budget. He took out a $61 million mortgage for 5 residences in California with a $180,000 monthly payment. That isn't exclusive to millionaires. Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, are reasonably wealthy. They took out a loan to purchase their $88 million home. They put down 40% and financed the remaining $52.8 million. This leaves the couple with a monthly payment of $149,600. The national median house value is $200,700 in comparison. Instead of cleaning up a mansion with a $53 million, he knows where to put it to make the most money. Finally, he has made many excellent investments and is on his way to becoming a millionaire. The richer you get, the better ways to find to make more money. But let's face it, it's roughly 3% nationwide. But even at that rate, it doesn't make sense to buy a property if you can afford it. But first, let's clarify something. First and foremost, when you are a billionaire, the bank can rest easy. since no one is concerned that you will fail on your loan. And if you do, you can easily sell a portion of your firm to repay your mortgage, removing the risk from the equation. In comparison, ordinary people may become ill and be unable to work, or he may lose his job entirely. Second, paying your mortgage on time every month helps you create and maintain a solid credit score, which makes it simpler to borrow money from the banks the next time you're in difficulty. You're essentially establishing trust with financial institutions, but it could also be the other way around. Banks give such cheap mortgage rates to build good relationships with wealthy individuals so that when their businesses require a loan, they will turn to them rather than their competitors. It's a win-win situation for everyone. These low mortgage rates are adjustable, which means they might rise, but no one is concerned, since if it ceases to make economic sense for these ultra-wealthy individuals, they can simply repay their debt. Most people think of debt as a bad thing, since we frequently borrow money we can't afford for leisure and end up paying a lot more money back. In reality, as soon as you graduate from college, you realize how much of a burden your student debt has become. And once you calculate how long it will take you to repay it, you quickly form the belief that debt is bad, especially when you can't even use it as a fallback. Playing with debt isn't simple. You're ultimately taking a significant risk, and even a minor blunder can have severe effects. We have accumulated so much debt that most individuals can no longer afford a $500 bill because they must make all of these monthly installments. That is, however, what separates bad debt from good debt. Debt may wreck your life, leave you homeless, and cripple your family if you are careless with it. But it can also make you extremely wealthy if you know how to leverage it. Leverage is an ability that can quickly make you wealthy. Assume you pay $10,000 for this phone. Go to the market and sell it for $11,000. Congratulations, you just made a $1,000 profit. However, if you utilize leverage, you go to the bank first and borrow $990,000 plus your additional $10,000. You'll have $1 million. You go to your supplier and buy 100 phones for $1 million, then sell them for $1,100,000 on the open market. But you still owe the bank money, so you go back to the bank and repay them the $990,000 you borrowed, plus an additional $10,000 in interest. You're now down to $100,000. After deducting your personal $10,000, you're left with a profit of $90,000. When you don't have any, this is how you make money. The bank got its cut of the profit and you got yours. Of course, when this formula is taken to its logical conclusion, it is not controlled by the government and followed by everyone on Wall Street. A financial catastrophe occurs, as it did in 2008. Remember when housing values plummeted, bringing the entire economy down with them? Because investment banks employed leverage to maximize their profits, their plan backfired when they began lending to people who didn't necessarily have the most satisfactory credit scores and weren't financially equipped to make the monthly payments. Then they defaulted on their mortgages, which was a nightmare for investors because property values had been growing for 40 years and then abruptly began to fall. It's a key component of how wealthy individuals generate money. Of course, it's hazardous and you may lose everything, but if you know what you're doing, you could earn a fortune in a matter of days. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. You should always do your own research and speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.